Hi there, welcome. I am Lek for QP Media and VMG, and you're watching a quick tutorial on how to create beautiful pins for your Pinterest board using a free online suite called Canva if you don't have access to something like Photoshop or just don't feel like using it because it takes too long. I don't know. Anyhow, let's get started. First, we can use custom dimensions if we want, but Canva already has a preset for Pinterest graphics, so we're going to go ahead and use that. Now there's a caveat to using this that I'll explain later. Before you start, however, you want to gather some resources. For what I'm doing, since I'm making a pin for a Westward article about delicious deep dish breakfast pizza, I've already collected an image from my source, which isn't loading, but whatever, you get the idea. It's in here. And let's get back over to Canva. Right, so I've got my Pinterest layout. I've got my deep dish breakfast, which I will hover here and upload directly into Canva, and it'll save it for me for future use if I need it. What I've done before is I've already asked my production department to hook me up with a couple of newspaper logos with transparent backgrounds. These are PNG files. They're high resolution, so I can make almost as big of an image I want without losing any quality. You always want to use the highest resolution image possible. If you don't have one, stick around to the end and I'll tell you how to make it look not quite as bad. There's a trick to it. So let's grab our deep dish pizza, throw it into our layout, resize it so it fills up as much as the picture as we can without losing quality. Now if you get to this point and your picture looks like garbage, maybe you should pick a different picture or try to get a higher resolution sample. Now I'm going to position this in such a way as to tempt my reader to try to get them to click on something. Now this picture isn't the best because we've got random stuff laying around, and I'm going to try to hide that as much as possible. Usually I go for the rule of thirds and try not to centralize my image because design reasons, but I've kind of got that effect here with the beverage, so I'm going to go with it and centralize the pizza. Now, step 2 is branding. If you're watching this and you don't work for a company or you don't have logos and you just feel like pinning, feel free to ignore this part, but I'm going to do it. First I'll drag the dark Westward logo up here, and that doesn't look too terrible. Let's resize it so it makes a little bit more sense. And now what I like to do is I can either make a copy of this logo or grab my red logo, throw it up here in about the same place, resize it so it makes a bit of sense, and look what we have now. We've got this drop shadow effect that makes our logo pop out of the background. What we can do is when we have two elements like this and we want to move them around, we can shift click and then use our arrow keys to get a better position. So what if we want that drop shadow to go down? Well, we just position this other image above it, and we've got a beautiful downward facing drop shadow to get that Westward logo to really pop. Canva also has different text styles and backgrounds and whatnot, and you can use that under your image or under your text to make that pop. But you don't really have to. It depends on how busy your image is. Now, down here, we've got a lot of busyness, so we're probably not going to want to put text here, but we'll see how things go. So now I need a headline. Denver Deep Dish unveils breakfast pizza for Rockies opening weekend. Well, opening weekend was last weekend, so it's not going to be super duper relevant, so I'm just going to grab Denver Deep Dish unveils breakfast pizza, and I'm gonna throw that on my image. Now, the idea behind Pinterest, I don't know if you guys use Pinterest, you should, it's fun, is it's essentially a magazine rack. Let me give you an example. So here is all the people we follow with the Westward, and you can kind of look around and see which one's beautiful, which one's tempting, and what makes me want to click to follow to learn more. Images like this are completely gorgeous, and maybe we can learn something from them, but stuff like this gives us a really good example of what we're in for when we click that link. See, this one, I don't know if it's going to be a photo gallery, is it going to make me try to buy the dress, I have no idea. So we want to give our readers a clue on what they're into or in for if they click the image. So let's throw some text. Let's just go ahead and do the big stuff. There we go, text pops up here. I'm gonna hit Control V, paste my text right into here, deselect it so I can move it. And as you can see, that's completely unreadable on this. So one thing, just like up here that I was talking about that we can try is we can select this, click down, create a copy, and then make the text white or a lighter color, depending on, you know, what else you've got going on in the article. So, but we'll just use white for now. And again, we'll shift click and then use our arrow keys to position this text where we want it. If we need more precision, we can zoom in and it'll let us move it not quite as far. Let's go ahead and give that a shot. There we go. And then we can now position this in a much more careful and precise way. Let's zoom back out to see how that looks. And look, now our text is readable and it pops. There is one more thing that I want to talk about. This I kind of was off on. For some reason, Pinterest's image compression algorithm hates the color red, just despises it. If we were to save this and upload this to our Pinterest account, once we would go and look at it on the board, we would see terrible, terrible artifacting in the color red. We can kind of fix that on Pinterest in one of two ways. We can change its color by using various filters to try to find something that's not as red. So we can go off white to red this way, or we can try to find a filter. We've got advanced options for the tint to make it almost any color we want, maybe. Let's go there. That looks fabulous. Let's declick from that. There we go. We've got a westward thing. So let me show you real quick how to put something behind this so it's even more readable. Let's try something like this thing will do. So now we've got a circular element with some text on it that we don't really need. We don't need the text, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. This pizza place isn't a... Why can't I select this day spot? There we go. Delete that. And now we can take this, send it to the back, because layers. Okay, back farther. There you go. And now we've got this graphical element that we can use to highlight our text. And we can make this any color we want. Like so. Look how pretty that looks. Now let's make it slightly transparent so you can still see the image behind it and make it more subtle. And boom, now we have text that pops down here. We've got this beautiful pizza that'll hopefully catch people's eyes. We've got branding up here, and we're pretty much ready to go. So your next step is to go ahead and download as an image. Wait for it, depending on what browser you'll use. You know, I'm using Chrome, so my notification that it's downloaded will pop up here, and I'll be able to inspect my image. And that's something you definitely want to do before you upload, and I'll show you why. So here we go. We've opened it, and we can zoom in to, well, 99% is fine. So this will be the size of the image you upload to Pinterest. I don't know if you can see it, but here in this red, it's already starting to get kind of corrupted before we've even let Pinterest touch it. So what I like to do when things look a little fuzzy or hazy, we don't need an image this big. This image becomes this big because that's the size of the prefab layout in Canva, which is fine, but not completely necessary to have it this big. And now I can go to Image, Resize, Resample, and we're just going to do a percentage. 50% the original. This is, now I'm at 164%. So 102%. That's still plenty big, still very readable. Alright, let's go ahead and save this file. Name it something that, you know, you'll remember. So, pizza. That's fine. Go ahead and make it as good as possible and save. And now you're ready to upload to Pinterest. Well, there you go. I really hope that you found this useful. Feel free to experiment with different fonts, different sizes. With Pinterest, you can even make this a little bit taller and it'll still be effective. Here, let me show you. So Let's find a good example. So this pin's a little taller than your average and might grab the eye of the reader more so than a standard square pin. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed, found it useful, and if you make one that you're super proud of, feel free to share it with me. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments below. The links to all of the software I just used and the services online and to the Denver Westward, if you want to see some of my work, will be below in the doodly-doo, the little text area below the video, and feel free to check some stuff out. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.